Hey, what's up? Today's video, I'm going to be going over the top 5 skill champions in the game. Um, I plan to make one of these for every single class, so please drop a like and drop a comment if you want to see one for every single class. But we're going to start off with a skill class, actually, because I believe it is one of the worser on the lower sides of the class balance. I believe it's probably the bottom class. That being said, skill still has a lot to offer with champions. I just don't believe it's as meta as other classes, if that makes sense. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and give a couple of honorable mentions. I want to do this per class. So actually, my first honorable mention is in the 6-star class. I forgot to change my volume. Sorry. Anyways, my first skill class honorable mention is in the 6-star class, or is a 6-star, and that is Kate Bishop. So Kate Bishop, if she was a 7-star, she would probably be number one on this list. And the only reason she is getting an honorable mention, even though she is a 6-star, is because she is that good. I pulled her on my free-to-play account, and she carried me all the way through 9.2, and she did not have an issue. So I, till this day, still think she is great in story content and a lot of content in the game. She's a long form menace. She's also a great champ for short form. So yeah, she's a solid champion. If you were to pull her on a new account, she's carrying you throughout the whole game, no matter what. Even as a 6-star, that is one of the very few 6-stars in the game that I believe can do that. I believe there's honestly only one other champ, which we'll talk about in a future video. But yeah, that'll be the only 6-star mention we have for the skill class. I have two other honorable mentions I want to talk about. The first one is Hitmonkey. So, Hitmonkey is a newer 7-star Ascended, at least. He is in the 7-star box for the Ascension, and that upped his prowess way more. Having that availability to be ascended once and twice, basically giving you an extra rank advantage on a lot of other champions in the game, is amazing. And Hitmonkey is the perfect candidate for that because he just wants damage. And if you have damage, or if you have a way to give him more damage, that's just going to benefit him in so many different factors. So yeah, Hitmonkey, one of my favorite champions of the game, one of my favorite champions of the game, period. I absolutely love Hitmonkey. His combos are easy. Medium, light, medium. You just do that throughout the fight. Have massive crits. Have massive bleeds. Hitmonkey's the GOAT. And then the second honorable mention, which is actually a newer champion, is actually Star-Lord. So a lot of people hate on this champion. I personally love Stellarforge Star-Lord. I think his damage is some of the best in the game because it's so easy to access. All you got to do is build up a 200-meter combo, I believe, for max ramp. And with his, no, it's 400. It's a 400 combo. But with his availability for the combo wave, a new ability in the game that every time he crits, I think he does ×3 with the combo wave or something like that. I think every time he crits, it's 2 for his combo, and then it's ×3 with the combo wave, or maybe it's ×2. So basically, every crit is doing 4 to 6 on his combo. 2 or 3 crits, you add another cruelty, that's more damage. Star-Lord has insane damage, and I think he is very underrated. I love Star-Lord. He's a rank 5 candidate for me. I absolutely love Star-Lord. But yeah, there's also other honorable mentions I could talk about, but people have certain preferences, and I just believe those two are great honorable mentions, and I want to get them out there. So, to start off at the number 5 spot, it's actually a champ I don't like very much. I don't find him very fun to play, and I can't master his playstyle, but I know a lot of people love his playstyle, and he's annoying as heck on defense, especially in AW. That is Lumitrix. When he first launched, I thought he was super underwhelming, and then I saw all the gameplay of all the damage that he can do and how easy it is for good Lumitrix players to ramp. And he's insane. He has really, really great utility in his Fractured Power Bar, which is something that is awesome, and his Bleed and Rupture immunity, because there's very few champs in the game that have Rupture immunity. Also, Bleed immunity is just good to have, but his Furies are super, super potent. So I don't know him enough to talk about him like well, but I do know he is amazing. Also, he doesn't even need to be duped. His dupe is mostly a defender to add value to his defender. Um, so yeah, he's great right out of the gate. He's in the 7-star pool too, so you can pull him. I think he is a very, very solid champ, and if you were to pull him, you would be on the right track to having the meta skill attackers slash defenders slash champions. But yeah, I don't know much about him. I don't personally like him that much, but I do know he is an amazing champ, so I have to put him in that top 5 spot because every high rank player has him up at that highest rank. There's a lot of rank 5 Lumitrixes, and that's just because he has really great damage. He's really good on defense. That's all I'm going to talk about him, though, because not my most favorite champ in the game. Number 4 is actually going to be Kingpin. The big issue with Kingpin right now is he was locked behind a paywall, so you can't really get him as of now. So that's why he's a little bit lower on the list. If you were free to play, you can't get him. And if you started the game today, you cannot get him as a 7-star. You can get him as a 6-star, and that'll carry you through a lot of content. But as a 7-star, that buff with the 7-star is just really, really nice. And the great thing about Kingpin is he doesn't really have a certain playstyle. You just jump in and you just punch the opponent. You can really fight any way you want. And if they have debuffs that they put on you, that's even better. That's his target matchups, is matchups to where he gets a lot of debuffs on himself. So a lot of your science attack or science defenders he's great for, like Rhino, one of the newest science defenders that is really annoying. He's great for. High Evolutionary he's really great for. There's just a lot of science defenders that he can nuke down no problem just because he purifies his debuffs and then he gets furies with those purifies. If you get 6 or 7, maybe it's 8. Once you get those rage stacks up to a certain amount, you get an overload buff, and that's basically just a big fury, and then your specials are unblockable. Also, he's a great defender. He's a very sneaky defender. If you don't have a counter to his purification, then he's just really, really annoying and long. And if you take an SP2 to the face because it's unblockable, that hurts a lot. Plus, he goes unstoppable, and all his specials are basically unblockable. So he's just and he has a lot of health, so he's just a very big stall defender as well. That's why I think Kingpin is the 4th best skill champion in the game. I love Kingpin. I took him up to rank 4 as soon as I got him. Yeah, great champion. In the 3rd spot, we are actually going to put Okoye. So, Okoye was one of those champions. When I watched her deep dive, I thought she was the most mid champion ever. The deep dive did not do her justice. And then I realized her ensnare debuff, when she applies on, all you have to do is dex. When you dex, you apply an ensnared on them. And that, I don't know what her ability action reduction on it is. I don't know. By 30%. That 30% is nuts. That applies for the whole entire fight. Anything you can do, anything the defender does, they have a 30% reducted chance to apply that. So when Serpent was very meta, she was actually a really great counter for Serpent when she first launched, because if you get really good RNG, you could basically nuke them down and skip the second life. Doesn't really happen very often. Also, that ensnared counters evade. When you have it ensnared on the opponent, they cannot evade. So you basically just keep cobbling. It's all you want to do with Okoye. She has massive shocks, massive bleeds. You launch that SP2 with the Vicious on them. You basically nuke every opponent down. If they can be shocked or bled or just one of both, you're going to nuke the fight. That's what she is. She's just a nuke. She's not the greatest at like long form content. She's really meant for short form and maybe medium, but she has really great utility with that evade to get the ensnare. Then you have ability action reduction on the opponent. She's not a defender at all. She really is not a defender. She can catch you every now and then. If she does catch you with a special, you're basically dead because those shocks and bleeds are so potent. Also, you really want to run deep wounds, but that's with almost every skill champion in the game that have bleeds. You want to run deep wounds, but with her, that affects the shock debuffs as well. So, yeah, Okoye is great. Has solid utility, really, really great damage, and I believe is the 3rd best skill champion in the game. If you don't have Okoye up and you have her, you probably need to. She does a lot for the skill class. Yeah. So now we're gonna get into the second best champion in the game, which is none other than Nick Fury. I debated putting him at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized he cannot be ascended, and he's probably never going to be able to be ascended. It'll be like 2029, 2030 before he's going to be able to be ascended, probably, because it took forever for him to become a 7-star, but he's just such a solid champion. Everybody knows Nick Fury. Everybody knows his playstyle is easy. You just build up to get a instant internal bleed. What is that? What it's called? I think it's called an internal bleed or that deep wound or whatever it's called. You put 8 fury or 8 bleeds on the opponent. You get that internal bleed, and then you do even more bleed damage. You basically just want to do light ending combos. And then the biggest thing about his kit is his Sig ability. You want him awakened, and you want him to be max Sig, or you want as many Sigs thrown into him as humanly possible because he gets a second life. And yeah, Sig 1, he gets a second life, but the Sig makes his health decrease slower. So on defense, he's just an absolute tank. He's basically just a stall defender nowadays. Everybody knows how to fight Nick Fury, and there's a lot of counters. So that second life just stalls out the fight even more. And he's really great on attack. He's very underrated on attack because he has that second life. So he can cheese a lot of fights. If you play bad, you have that second life. Also, when you go into that second life, you have a massive fury that you do even bigger bleeds. Also, you can go unblockable with your specials in that second life if you have a certain amount of charges. And one thing I haven't got to mention, he has insane synergies. Just having him on the team, you get a 10%, and if he's dead, you get a 20% attack rating. That's flat out just for all heroes. And there's a lot of good heroes on the in the game. You're always going to have a hero on the team. Also, he has different kits, so if you were to spawn in with like a Ant-Man and Nick, you would have 3 evade charges. A Deadpool and Nick, you would get a restoration kit, which basically regens your attacker at the beginning of a fight. He just has really great synergies. You always want to bring him in a quest. I was always bringing him in a quest as a 6-star, so now that I have him at a maxed out 7-star, he's great. Definitely could be the best skill champion in the game, one of the best champions in the game, but I do think he's getting a little outdated as the time comes. But yeah. Now, for the best skill champion in the game, I thought about this very hard, and there's a lot of different factors that went into it. Utility, damage, a little bit of defense, and can they be ascended? And this champion has it all. You all probably know who it is. I've been on the Baron Zemo train lately, and I do believe, as of today, Baron Zemo is the best skill champion in the game. So let's get into it. First of all, he has really great damage. Like, really, really great damage. If they can be bled, it's great. If they can't be bled, it's also great. Because he adds... If you can't put a part of his kit onto the opponent, you get a Fury for the next attack. So you basically counteract that in the Fury. It's kind of weird to explain, but you all know what I'm talking about. But if they can be bled, they have bleeds that last the whole entire fight as long as you can't purify them. So if you put a bleed on them and 10 seconds into the fight, when you're at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, that bleed is going to be on, and they max out at 99 stacks. I don't know the exact number he does at rank 4, but it's got to be 10k plus per tick, so about 20k plus a second if you have max Fury on them. Once you get all the, or max bleeds, once you get all the bleeds, you launch an SP3, boom. Long form content nuke, short form content nuke. He just does all the content well. Also, his synergies. Synergies are amazing. You basically can run a whole Baron Zemo team and do great. Or you can just run him on the team, kind of like Nick, when you have villain champions or Thunderbolt champions. He just has really great synergies that synergize well with a lot of champions in the game. Also, he's a really great defender. If you don't have a counter to Purification, you're screwed, because once he purifies 5 debuffs, you go rooted, and then he puts instant bleeds on you or permanent bleeds on you, and you're just dead. Yeah. Also, he can be ascended. That's basically a rank above everybody else. Yeah, Baron Zemo, I believe, to this day, or as of now, is the best skill champion in the game. Some people might say that's crazy. I never loved Baron Zemo until I ranked him up and I realized how great he was. With all this content that has been coming out, the long form content, and even 9.4, I use Zemo a lot, an absolute ton. And he did everything I needed from him and better. So yeah, that's why I believe Baron Zemo is, without a shadow of doubt, the best skill champion in the game right now. And with the Ascension, I don't think he's going to lose that title unless another great champion like Nick Fury gets added, gets the ascendable option. But yeah, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Please let me know down in the comics. Let me know down in the comments if you like this idea of ranking top 5 champions. I want to go ahead and make a video for all the classes. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one, and peace out.